Today we're going to give you an introduction into VE Whitewater Paddles. Now, if you're not familiar with the range, VEs come in 3 different blade shapes. You've got the Pro, the Creeker and the Flyte, and these are available in full glass or VE's innovative Carbon Aircore construction. So the Carbon Aircore basically encapsulates a pocket of air inside the blade, and that makes it stiffer, stronger, lighter and more buoyant. So it feels a little bit lighter when it's in the water. All these blades are available on full carbon shafts, glass shafts or bent carbon shafts, which are all available with a joining spigot, which is both length adjustable and feather adjustable, and VE will even make full custom paddles for you, so you can specify your shaft length and your feather. So if you want a 196.37 at 55.9 degrees, they can do that for you. So let's have a look how these blades are made. Sit tight, here comes the science. Unlike a lot of other paddles, which are made using a wet layup, where you take your material, cover it with epoxy resin and compress it in your mold before baking it, VE paddles are made with Prepreg glass or Prepreg carbon for their air core. What this means is the material comes pre-impregnated with the exact amount of resin needed to create that perfect, even, consistent bond between the layers. So the paddles are laid up, compression molded and baked. Now what this does is it means that VE blades can be as light as other blades but have 23% more material in them, and the material is what makes that blade stronger. Now we know the science, let's have a look at the paddles themselves. So before we go into depth with the blades, let's have a look at the shafts. So the VE make their own shafts and they're very good. We like them, we're big fans. So they're about 31 millimeters in diameter, so just that sort of perfect size, not too big, not too small. They also do their own ovalization, so they're slightly more ovalized than other paddles, but that just gives them a real nice feel in your hands. The finish on the shaft is sort of like a ground finish, which makes the shafts quite sticky actually, so your hands aren't going to move around on them that easily. Now, the paddle I've got in my hand here, don't know how to show it to you really. There you go. That is called the Pro. So the Pro is the blade that's been designed for surfing and for freestyle paddling. We've used this down rivers. I've used it personally down rivers a few times, and I have to say I didn't really get on with it. I found it just a little bit too big and a little bit cumbersome. But remember, that's not what it was designed for. What it was designed for was surfing waves, surfing holes, pulling off tricks and things like that. And lucky for me, I've had the opportunity to do that too. And that's where this blade really comes alive. The width and the size of the blade just makes it really positive in a hole, gives you a nice bit of surface to sort of brace yourself on and just get the direction you want. And if you're winding up for moves, when you get that in the water, you can really get some pretty big moves going on. This thing is really popular with freestyle paddlers, and we can understand exactly why that is. Now, if you are paddling rivers, and we've kind of ascertained that this isn't the paddle that you want to be using if you're paddling down rivers most of the day, then you want to look towards the Creeker. So the Creeker is a slightly smaller blade. It carries less width throughout the blade, which just makes it a little bit easier to paddle with and gives you that sort of all-day paddling experience. This is the one we like for paddling down rivers for sure. It just feels right. Yeah, not much else you can say about it. It feels good in the hand, feels good in the water. That's the Creeker. Then last but not least, we have the Flyte. So this is a slalom inspired blade, so it carries quite a lot of width towards the front end of the blade and it tapers off towards the neck of the shaft. The idea behind this gives you a lot of grip at the front of your stroke and then eases off as you pull through the stroke. So if you're a paddler who just likes to paddle with that kind of style, this blade will work down rivers, it will work in holes, it will pretty much work for everything. Maybe even extreme slalom or motocross or slalom cross or whatever they call it nowadays, who knows. But yeah, maybe if we had a criticism about the Flyte, it is still quite a big blade. We hear there may be a small one coming. VE, please, because I think if this was slightly smaller, especially for me, this would be absolutely fantastic. Again, all on the fantastic shafts, either carbon or glass, which is slightly more flexible and softer on the joints than the carbon, and available with that joining spigot, which is length adjustable and feather adjustable as well. And remember, VE will make your paddles up to any length or any angle that you want. These 3 VE paddles, or blade shapes, shall we call them, the Pro, the Creeker and the Flyte, they also come in that full carbon Aircore technology that VE do as well. That is 100% carbon, that makes the blade stiffer, lighter, stronger, and with that Aircore just makes it that bit more buoyant in the water, makes it even easier to paddle with. So if you're looking for a new whitewater paddle, you would kind of be silly not to try out the VEs, at least give them a go. So we've got a few demos down here in the shop. Get yourself down, try them out. We think you'll be pleasantly surprised.